everybody? It's AD, like all day, your favorite realtor, bringing dreams to doorways. And today is our first episode of the amazing series of The Beautiful Struggle. So today I brought in a special guest, my good buddy, and just I call him the Solar King, Mr. Aaron Rivera. So real quick, just wanted to introduce you to the guests and the people watching. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Aaron. What's your name? What do you do for a living, and what's your why behind it?
Sure. So my name is Aaron Rivera. I work in the solar industry. Do door to door. I've been doing it for about 3 years now. Really fell in love with it. Going out, finding opportunities, and facing the challenge of wanting to go out and hunting. My why every day is to just find the next challenge and overcome it. What I feel like that does to you is it puts you in a position to make a decision to either do it or not do it. When you don't do it, it doesn't feel good. And when you do it and you realize you can do it, it feels amazing. And so that's why I go out every day. That's my why. And I love what I do.
That's amazing. Can you elaborate a little bit on why you love what you do and where that originates from? Because I know a lot of our, a lot of entrepreneurs, small business owners, or anyone watching, there must be a driving force behind it. That could have started when you were young, or a few years ago, that really sparked that flame.
Sure. So for me, the biggest thing is I'm pretty extreme when it comes to doing things that either I really like to do or just not doing it at all. The type of work that I'm in, it doesn't allow me to be depending on just clocking in and getting a check. It depends on whether I go out there and do it or not. So the reason why I'm in what I'm doing is because it forces me to want to go out there and be aligned and hunt for what I get. I used to work in the 9 to 5, right?
Right.
And that was super safe. But every time I'd go to work, bro, I was like, dude, I hate this, man. I don't like it. I don't like that. There isn't the motivation. There isn't the grit, right? So, that's why I love what I do. Was that the question?
Yeah, no, that
Okay,
answers
cool.
my question, and it kind of goes into what I like to call spiritual suicide, right? And that's inspirational to see that you're willing to fight for that freedom despite all the discomfort that comes with it.
Yeah.
Because this is what it's all about. It's about achieving the American dream and fighting for that freedom to start up your own business and
Yeah.
to feel happy about what you do.
Sure.
So that's amazing. So kind of take us back a little bit, the viewers and myself, in terms of like, how did you get started, right? Kind of what was the origin story of why you wanted to start, doing what you do now, and why then, and yeah, what motivated you to do so?
Yeah. So door to door is something that's not usual, right? So it's like you go out, you look every day, and you don't see anybody door knocking. I got into sales because my mom is in sales, and I used to love, when they'd take her out for performing, right? There were some times where they'd take us out to a baseball game, and as a kid growing up and going to a baseball game, not having to pay for anything, everybody's having a great time, and it's rewarding you for your hard work, right? So I started door to door with copiers, so that'd be business to business, or what we call B2B. Knocking, walking, and talking, baby. Just knocking, finding the business owners, see who the decision maker is, and building your presence wherever you're at, right? So I got into copiers. It was a 2 solid years of knocking and trying to sell copiers. They said if you can sell a copier, you can sell anything. So I said, you know what? If that's the case, I want to do it. Sign me up, bro.
Nice.
Let me prove that I can sell a copier. And if I
Right.
can, then I know I probably can write my ticket anywhere. So did that for a bit, and I knocked on this guy's door while I was here out in Salinas prospecting. Guy opens up the door, and I was having a great day. When I'm out on the doors, I'm always having a great day. It's just a good opportunity to be out. It's my way of just being happy, dude, being on the doors. So I knock on this guy's door. He opens it up, and he's a solar company. I had seen a little bit about solar companies online when I was trying to learn my pitch when I'm knocking door to door, right? And I knew solar, there was some money in it, there was some success in it, and so I wanted a piece of that. I wanted to, be successful. I wanted to run a team, and I was struggling a little bit with setting appointments with copiers, and he asked, "Hey, would you like to set appointments for me?" So what I did was I started off as a setter, and he said, "Look, this is what I'll do. I'll set you up. Every appointment you set, it'll be this amount. I'll go out there, I'll close it." So my responsibility was solely just to set the appointment, and that's what I needed, especially for business to business with copiers. I needed to know how to get in the door and sit down at the table with the decision maker, right? So I took the opportunity, went out there with him, or I went out there for him, and I think my first day I set like 3 or 4 appointments. We got a few of them closed,
Wow.
and it was just this amazing thing because it was a shorter buying cycle than copiers. With copiers, you're dealing with a company that's leasing their equipment. That lease is going to be maybe 3 to 6 years, depending on whatever worked out best for them. And it's a waiting game, and it's a relationship based. So what I wanted was, dude, I wanted to get paid fast, right? So when you get into solar, if you can provide that value, when you can, get into the door and and execute at a high level, then you'll get compensated pretty much quickly, just depending on how that pans out.
Right.
So took the opportunity, had done that for from 5 to like 8 p.m. just about religiously for
Wow.
maybe 2 years or so. And that led me up to when I was in April, which you remember when I was like, dude, what do I do? Do I
Yeah.
quit? Do I not
Yeah.
quit?
Yeah.
Because with the copiers, there was a lot of opportunity to network and know a lot of business people. And part going back to my why is wanting to feel important, wanting to feel needed, and bringing value to people. So being around business owners, it was something I felt like, okay, you know what, I'm developing a reputation now, right? So stepping away from that and making the decision to go into solar was something where I realized it's not about it's not too much about who knows you too much, but it turned out serving me really well because now I'm able to kind of use references with the people I met before, and
Right,
then
right.
it's funny. Now I'll knock on somebody's door and I'm like, "Hey, don't you work at this company that I knocked at?" And
Yeah.
then it makes me like, dude, I could have still been selling copiers little by little. So, but now I'm in solar. It's a great opportunity for me to develop myself. I'm in front of more doors. Businesses are spread out, so doors are pretty much door to door, next door, next door, next door. So you're getting looks all the time. And that's what you're looking for when you're in sales is opportunities to get in front of people, to introduce yourself, cultivate and start a relationship. And for myself, I was like, there's more opportunity here.
Right.
Right? I almost got to a point where I felt like, I called every business and nothing came out of it. And my skills definitely weren't there yet, but the opportunity and the looks that I was getting were less than knocking on doors. And so in April is when I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to do this full time.
Right.
And made the decision to jump full in. And now there's been opportunities where I'm able to help people learn how to door knock, who are scared of it. And it's just a fear that you need to face. And I've learned a lot from it as far as understanding people now. Just being in front of people and seeing their reaction when you're with them is something that you end up developing, in your skill set on how to read and understand what you're saying is whether making sense or not, or hey, this didn't work or this did work. And so I felt like it would be a better skill to develop, especially at this point in my career as I'm barely starting sales. So that's why I'm in it full time. We're going after it. We're getting it, and it's exciting.
That's amazing, man. You mind if I unravel that a little bit for
Sure.
everybody that kind of read? So, like I said, he's a solar king, but this guy's a door knocking king.
Thank you,
And
bro.
can you kind of walk me through like that transitioning from? I mean, you were door knocking 4 hours, right?
Right.
When you were doing copiers, and I've seen you out there hustling. I think you came into the dealership
BMW,
I was
man.
working
Yeah,
at the
dude.
time to even pitch to them. So that
Right.
takes a lot of courage, right?
Right.
I mean, what would you say to, the people watching in terms of dealing with that adversity of going out and prospecting and knocking on people's doors? Because it sounds like you get an excitement because you're connecting with people and you're transferring that energy because you're in front of them.
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong. And I feel like that gives you a higher leverage, a higher percentage in terms of closing that transaction because you're face to face, and a lot of people are afraid of that, especially because of COVID.
Yeah.
So kind of elaborate on that and how have you turned that anxiety, that difficult obstacle which is door knocking, into
Sure.
something that's driving your business now?
Sure. So, good question, man. I have always looked at door knocking as an advantage. You go out there, and it is intimidating to go in front of somebody that you don't know
Right.
and talk to them because you're thinking about the words. You're thinking about, how do I get them to say yes?
Right.
And that's the wrong way to do it, dude. Like, I remember trying to get the right words to figure out, hey, what do I need to say to get them to say yes? But I guess that kind of went off on a tangent there. But as far as the way I view door knocking is, I see it as an advantage because nobody else is doing it. That anxiety that I got when I was first door knocking, I almost give it to the person that I'm prospecting to, because it's like, dude, I'm here. However you feel about me being here is the way you feel, but the way that I can kind of manage the interaction is based off my energy when I get there. So if I come up and I show up with great energy and I'm not nervous, 9 times out of 10, the conversation is going to go really, really well. Even if it doesn't go well, I don't get the door slammed on myself, but I do leave the door open, right? And that's one of the big things with, that I learned from copiers is you may not get the opportunity to perform then and there because not everybody's looking for a copier then and there.
Right.
But
it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. Yeah.
Right.
Some businesses are a little bit smaller. Some businesses, require a copier and the benefits of it. But, going out there, nobody else is out there, leaving the door open, and just understanding that it's the work that you put in today that's going to help you out for tomorrow. You got to put in the work today. So I almost set aside, set aside going out there that day to say, hey, you know what? I'll go out there today, even if it's not fruitful. They'll know who I am. Let me at least make a great impression, which is something my mom always taught me. And
Mama
now
knows best.
dude, she knows best, man. She's killing it. It's selling boxes. So, what she says, I really try to, put back and put it in a perspective when I'm out there. So I'd say just going out there, knowing you're at an advantage. Nobody else is door knocking. You'll never see it. If you do, it's very, very rare. And just, leveraging that big time.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for sharing that. So take me back to you just started the business. Was it back in April?
In April, yeah.
In April. So you burned the ships, right? Like Cortez, you're like, hey, forget it. We're gonna go all in. 120%. No turning back. I mean, that's scary for a lot of people.
Oh, for sure.
To be doing that,
Yeah.
to give up that consistent income coming in.
Sure.
Like, that's a scary thought. I mean, I know a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners had to either keep their W-2 job so they can feel safe, but you was like, no, forget it. I'm gonna go all in.
Right.
And I mean, what made you make that decision to go all in and forget about the other job that you had, a system that was working and bringing in cash? And also, what were the most difficult obstacles that you were dealing with at that time?
Sure.
Without a W-2 job.
I gotcha. So, man, when you're making that transition for something that's steady, and you're going into something that's unfamiliar, it's scary. It's just going to be scary, bro.
Right. Untapped waters.
Absolutely. So, the best way I make decisions under pressure sometimes, at least at that point when I wasn't familiar with what risk can bring you, is it's like getting a grenade and then taking that thing off, throwing it, and just turning around and see what happens, bro. And so that's the way I said, you know what, I'm gonna make it happen. There were times where I had the doubt, is this gonna work out? And there were things that you brought out of me that were extremely helpful for me, because when you're out there working out, AD works out like crazy. If anybody doesn't know, this guy works out like crazy.
I try to keep the dad bod off,
There you go. So there's a point in time where I was making that transition where every day, just about religiously, we were going and working out and pushing ourselves, where that was the only thing that we had. And I'm sure you can speak to that too, from being far away from home.
Right.
And so for me, that taught me that, if nothing works out, at least my mental health is there. And that's what I had to really depend on, was my mental health and going out there and working out. Now, the challenges that I face not being a W-2 is what's going on with the money, right? What's going on? When are you getting paid? How much are you getting paid? Where does it need to go? So having that ability to understand where the finances are going was something that I was never taught growing up. And that was the scariest thing for me, because as a 1099, you're getting the whole check. And there's taxes you need to pay on that. And when you think that you're a very high performer and you're learning,
Right.
you see success, you sometimes say, hey, dude, I'm a beast and
Yeah.
I'll get this back and I'll make this back. So
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and spend it. And those were the things that were challenges for me that I'm figuring out now.
Good.
And so, just making that transition, it's 100% scary. No, I didn't want to do it. I
Yeah.
wanted to be super secured and say, hey, if I'm making this decision, it better be right. But there's a lot of successful people out there that took a risk and took a bet on themselves. And then when they do that, they usually come out on top. And even if this would have taken an L, and even if I would have taken a big L, which is still possible because it's still early on,
Right.
I'll learn from it. And the next time I go up, my chances of succeeding are going to be a lot higher. So the same thing in door to door. The first one, you might not be great, but you'll get better in the next one, then the next one. It's just opportunities, and being prepared for the next one is what's going to help you determine whether you're going to be successful or not, right?
That's amazing.
So-
No, that's very good.
Yeah.
And which kind of brings me to the next point is they say scarcity is the mother of all innovations, right?
Oh man. Yeah.
So I could imagine, right? Like you're
Yeah.
you're in the trenches. You just left your W-2 job. You're no longer getting that steady income, and you that check is not coming in as consistently. So what were some things that you had to implement to your technique, your business,
Sure.
what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, maybe door knocking differently,
Yeah.
to make sure that check is coming in a little bit more consistent and
Sure.
you're bringing food to the family?
Yeah. So going out there, hunting for opportunities, and I always call them opportunities, but hunting for a deal. When you first start and you don't, and you've maybe and you have a job that's primarily where you're getting your income from, you're not really putting money into it to do it. And what I mean by that is, now that is the only thing that I'm doing, and right around April time is when a bunch of college kids are getting out of school and the doors are going to start getting super saturated. So there's going to have to be things that you're going to differentiate yourself with, in order to be seen, in order to be given an opportunity. If I knock on the door and just say, hey, do you want solar? Then it's not going to be as successful as when everybody's in school, nobody's really door knocking, because you'll have other companies going out there. I mean, you can go off and name them all, selling pests, selling solar, selling anything.
Right.
And you want to differentiate yourself instead of being that solar guy. So some of the things that I would do is I would go out there and I would offer promotions right off the bat and get those promotions to where, I was going to have to come out of pocket to cover some of those things, discount a few things. And that's what I had to do. That's the way I learned how to get in the door, because, hey, if I was going to take care of your first 2 months of that solar bill,
Right.
it at least, hey, you don't have a PG&E bill for 2 months, nor do you
Right.
have a solar bill. And so coming out of pocket, going out there, investing time, or just being around people helps you, not specifically just while you're at the job, but being out at mixers and stuff, gets you to know
Networking.
people. Networking,
Right, gotcha.
exactly. Networking is super heavy because, when you're networking, you can't really, I mean, you can sell people, but you got to know how to do it, right? Nonchalant, you got to just develop that relationship with them, and that's where I lean on the copier side of it. So, just being out, being seen, being on social media.
And when you're saying copiers, you mean like B2B, right? Like business to business?
Yeah,
Okay.
just the idea of developing the relationship when you're in the
Gotcha.
networking environment, right, at a
Gotcha.
mixer, because solar's more transactional, and copiers are more relationship based, right? It's going to take 3 years for you to give me an opportunity to bid for your equipment,
Right.
so you need to get to know me.
Right.
And if I go to a networking mixer and I'm right there shaking hands with you, like, hey, my name's Aaron. Have you ever thought about doing solar? That's an approach, but in my eyes, it's not as effective as, hey, man, so what do you do? Let's chop it up, let's chat, and talk about everything but solar, and then wait for you to chat with me and say, hey, so what do you do?
That. Yeah.
And once you get into that, it's like, oh, well, this is what I do, man, and this is some of the people I helped, and these are the challenges I'm facing right now, and these are some of the strategies that I'm implementing. Now
Right.
what I do to be different, going back to that, is
Yeah.
offering to paint houses, contracting with other people that paint houses, doing roofs, doing windows. So that way I'm not just a solar guy, right? And if we can loop all that in there, it brings a lot of value. So
That's amazing.
showing
man.
like how creative can I be, so you can be like, oh man, that guy's pretty creative, I should do that. And now we're thinking about different ways that we can both be creative and succeed. So
I love it. I gotta kind of walk the dog for everybody, man, because you was dropping gems, man. You was dropping
thanks,
some
bro.
good gems. First off, he's talking about, making sure that you're visible, right? You're going out to these networking events. You're
Yeah,
you're, you're building that visibility, but then credibility comes into play because you start asking people, "What do you do? How are you?" You're building those relationships.
there you
You
go.
know,
Yeah,
you're building that rapport, and then when people trust you and like you,
yeah.
what comes next? Profitability,
There you go,
right?
man.
Then you
Damn.
then it comes back to you because you're practicing the giver's gain philosophy. You're
There you
giving,
go.
giving, giving, and the world has a magical way of giving you back, man. So
Right.
that's a great job of innovating that into your business. So with that difficult moment that you faced, why was it so important for you to overcome that barrier, that difficult moment? Because I'm assuming it's not yourself that you're doing this for. There must be other ones, loved ones,
Oh yeah.
people important in your corner that you're doing it for. Why is it so important that you succeed, with your business, what you're doing, and how does it affect others in your life?
Right. So for me, the biggest thing is just I got two younger brothers, and they've seen me be a funny guy, and then they've seen me be a serious guy,
Yeah.
and they've seen me be sales guy. They've seen me
Right.
be a bunch of they're my brothers, right? So they've
Right.
seen me
Right. Right.
be a bunch of different ways.
I
So
love your brothers, man. They're cool.
they're awesome, dude. They're super cool. Those guys are dialed in. Those guys motivate me to be dialed in, bro. I
Nice.
don't know what's going on with my mind, but sometimes I try to focus in on a million things. Those guys are always focusing on one thing, which is great. So Andrew and Anthony, shout out to you guys. We love you guys. Um, so trying to show to them like, hey, whatever it is that you want to do, let me be the not so much the example, because each of us are our own examples for each other to learn from.
Right. Right.
But I'm willing to sacrifice, the things that I need to go through to show them like, hey, dude, you whatever it is, dude, you can do it too. So that one is like, that one's super important for me to show them like, look, if I can do it, bro, you can do it too. Because I'm trying a bunch of different stuff, and you're being the king at one, or whatever it is, multiple things that they're doing too.
Right.
But just to show them like, hey, there's no limit. So to prove to them that, hey, you guys can do whatever you guys want to do. There's no limits. Nobody can tell you what you can and can't do. Only you can. And that goes to everybody.
I love it.
And then the reason why is, dude, you got to make rent, dude. I mean, for me. And then I got goals to buy a house. I got goals to do a lot of different things, to travel more, right? To open up my own business and be successful at whatever I do, and continue to build value for the environments that I put myself in. I don't want to be just that guy that nobody knows, man. I want people to be like, hey, man, that's my boy Aaron right there. Like the way I was like, hey, that's my boy AD. That guy stands out, dude. That guy gets it done.
Yeah.
So when you do that, it's a sense of importance, that I look for. It's to make sure that we got a roof over our head, but to make sure that grows and grows and grows. If you take a step back at any point, sometimes that's good, but it's not always good, man. You always want to be moving forward, at least the way I see it, and being the example and being somebody that you can depend on. And it's difficult to do that when you're chasing your dreams, because you've got friends that want to hang out, which is it's great, but you've also got things that you want to do and things that you're focusing on, and to be responsible and somebody you can depend on, you got to start focusing in and dialing it in, and just being able to be somebody that someone can depend on too.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. So what I get is that you want to leave a legacy of greatness, right?
Yeah.
For the next generation. You want to be remembered, as the greatest at whatever you do,
Oh,
right?
100%, bro.
Like that's what I take it as. You're A plus kind of personality guy, and then in terms of helping other, making sure that you got to pay rent. You got to take care of your own, and that takes a lot of responsibility, a lot of discipline, and no, that's amazing. Can you kind of explain a little bit, from that transition where you dealt with that adversity and that difficult moment to where you're at now?
Yeah.
And what's your relationship with adversity now? And how are you helping other people deal with their adversity or their problems in your space?
I try not to get into other people's problems. I try not to, try to coach, go out of my way to coach too much.
Right.
If somebody's looking for help and I happen to be there, great. But what I've learned is, you know, you can't lead a horse to water and make it drink it, right? I
Right,
mean,
right.
or however the saying goes, something like
No, you
that.
got it. You got
Great win. So
it.
you can't. I mean, you can do that, but it
Yeah.
takes a lot of energy out of yourself to do it. And if you find, and if when I've found myself doing that, um, I've been disappointed sometimes, man, and it takes energy out of myself, and you know, you're putting a lot of effort into people to, you know, to help them face adversity, and sometimes people don't want it, and even myself at one point, people have put in effort into me, and I just didn't want it, and that was the person that I was until I realized who I need to be and who I want to be,
Right.
and started acting as that person that I see myself being and am. So anytime that I come across adversity, my biggest thing is like, dude, don't put it on the back burner. Get out there and get it taken care of, because if you don't, it's gonna snowball into even bigger problems. And
Right.
so just to go out there and attack, it helps you eliminate thinking. And one of my biggest mentors, Junio Martinez, who, man, love that guy. He gave me this opportunity. He says it takes more time to, and it takes more energy out of yourself to think about what you're going to do than to just go and get it done. And that has helped me a lot, because I'm a big thinker. I get into my head, and if I can prevent that from happening and just act, you know, it's a lot more successful. Grant Cardone says it all the time. It's like, the more you think about it, I'm already acting on it and figuring it out, and I'm learned a lot more, have done a lot more than the person that's still thinking about how they want to do it.
Analysis paralysis, right?
Analysis paralysis,
That's what it
baby.
is,
That's what
man.
it is. Yeah.
You're a go-getter. You're the type of guy that jumps out of the airplane and figures out how to put on the parachute.
While I'm falling down, right?
But
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll get it done,
Yeah,
man.
dude. I hope so. Shoot.
That's
Yeah.
amazing, bro. And no, and how are you? You know, I mean, just by you saying that,
Yeah.
I hope someone got that from you, like in terms of those gems you just dropped of facing adversity. But how are you helping people in your space, like
Yeah.
you know, with solar, to face some adversities that they're dealing with,
Sure.
or some difficulties that they're running into?
So from peer to peer, the way I see it is, if somebody wants to door knock and they want to learn how to do it, I'm open to helping them out. I'm open
Good.
to getting out there with them. I'm not going to hunt them down. I'm not going to say, hey, this is what you need to be doing, because everybody has their own style. There's been a lot of people that have given me tips that I have tried to force into my approach, and those tips just don't work for me. And I think the best thing that I've helped, you know, myself learn faster with is through experience. And I'm the type of person to where I need to see it work before I do it. It's difficult for me to just believe in whatever someone tells me to do it unless I've seen that they were successful with it. But then there's also the factor of understanding the reason why they did that, and understanding why you need to do that and how it worked for them, because someone can give you a tip on how to knock this door, but if you don't know
Right.
why you're saying it,
Right.
or what you're framing for the outcome to be, you're not going to understand why you're doing it. You're going to say it because you want that same outcome as that person, but you don't understand the reasoning behind it,
The why.
the why
it.
behind
Right,
it,
right,
exactly.
I get it.
And that's why I'm very delicate with, you know, giving time to others, you know, because I'm at the point. I'm not at the point, but
Yeah.
I'm at the current point where I need to keep building and getting stronger. I still feel like I'm not enough to be, you know, mentoring other people. I can share with them my experience, but I don't want to take on that mentorship role just yet.
Got you, man. No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, you know, you begin with the end in mind. But a lot of people don't start that way, you know, but you do a great job of explaining, you know, why to people, because I'm assuming when you're starting up, you know, people just told you do this, do that, do this, and you had no idea why you were doing it.
Right.
But through the experience and learning through your failures, you learned why.
Oh yeah,
You
man.
know, but I love how you detach yourself from the outcome.
Yeah.
Like, you don't care if you face rejection or whatever happens, you just
Yeah.
do it, and you gain wisdom, and you gain experience, but also you possibly gain an opportunity to help someone
Right.
out with their problems, but also, you know, help your business grow.
Right.
So that's amazing, man. Now we're coming to the last few questions. If you could jump into a time machine, right?
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Punch the time, go back to when you were first kind of like starting off, or before you were even starting off, like what would be some piece of advice that you would give yourself now, knowing, where you're at and how you got there? What would you say to yourself in terms of just what's the road to come ahead?
Sure. So as far as going back in time, um, I would have gotten the door to door as soon as I got out of high school. I would have onboarded a plane and gone to wherever they've got. I don't know, Utah or something, and
Yeah.
started knocking doors right off the bat. That's what I would have done. But I'm grateful for where I'm at now because of the point from when I got out of high school, started working, to where I am now. Those experiences all make me extremely grateful for where I am. So I don't know, maybe things would have been different if I would have gone door to door. Maybe I would have hated it and not appreciated it as much because I didn't know what working in the 9 to 5 was.
Right.
But as far as going back to what was the last part there, Ad?
The last part was basically, if you were to go back in time, talk to
Yeah.
yourself, what would you tell yourself
Gotcha.
in terms of, the road that's to come ahead?
Of course.
Just kind of like what wisdom would you give yourself? What would you tell yourself, just to kind of help you down the road? Or would you tell yourself anything?
Yeah. No, I would, man. I would. I mean, back in time, at least my mentality now, right,
Yeah.
is keep trimming off the fat. Keep trimming off the fat. What I mean by that is, whatever whatever your goal is, whatever that vision is, that's the filet mignon, man. And there's a lot of fat on the outside of the whole piece there
Yeah.
that keeps us from being that filet mignon, right? So there's things that are going to be distractions. There's going to be habits that we might develop as we're facing adversity, as we're losing, as we're struggling. There's going to be influences around us that we may think are fun to be around, and unfortunately, the fun is a misconception of what we think fun is. And I realize when I'm having fun, it's because I'm winning. It's because I'm enjoying time with my loved ones, right? Instead of going out and hanging out. So and trimming off the fat, stay dialed in, and just whatever the passion is, don't think about it twice, bro. Don't think about it twice, man. Keep going and believe in it more. Even the more people don't believe in it, dude, you need to make up for that belief by believing in yourself, and don't look for other people to validate whatever your dream is, because
love that,
it's
man.
difficult to get validation from somebody
Yeah.
that's not going to believe in you. And all you gotta do is look in the mirror and say, hey, you know what? I think I could probably do this. That I think could be like, let me give it a shot.
That's
Give it a
amazing.
shot, and then it's like, shit, dude, I think I got something. And when you
Wow.
think you got something,
Yeah.
give it a go again. Give it a go again, and try to be the master at it. And if you get bored of it, you want to try something new, dude, that's your choice, man. Don't feel like you need to stay locked in with something that you're not too happy about, or write it out just because financially that might help you, or do what you want, do the right thing, do it ethically, be a rock star,
Yeah.
and keep getting after it, bro.
Man, that's amazing. I don't know if you guys heard that, but I got goosebumps. And because Aaron over here is saying you don't need other people to give you permission to be great.
Yeah.
That's what you just said, man.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people they lean on other people, like, because society is like, oh, don't do that, don't do this, because you'll be looked at differently.
Yeah.
But who cares, right? Who cares? Who gives a hell? Like, so go do what you want to do. Be authentic, have integrity, and despite the difficulties, find that beauty in the struggle.
Yeah.
And that's the next question I want to get to. But thank you for sharing that, man.
100%,
That was
bro.
really good. Was with everything that you went through, from start to where you're at now, how do you consistently find the beauty in the struggle? How do you consistently find that passion, that love that you have for what you do, despite all that adversity?
Yeah, so I think a message for all of us to take from beauties and struggles is there's always going to be a struggle. The more you learn, the more you're going to want to learn more, and the more you learn, the more you're going to fall down, right?
Right.
It's not like learning how to walk and then you're good because you learned how to walk, but things start moving faster the more you want, the more you determine yourself to accomplish, and as they continue as the opportunities continue to present themselves, opportunities don't come in the form of, hey, let me sign this off and win this. Opportunities, mean for either that to happen, for you to, you know, make something happen, or for you to have to overcome something. Those are both opportunities to learn. And the more you expose yourself, and door to door, I'm very vulnerable, bro. I don't know who's behind that door. You never know. I'm as vulnerable as it gets.
Right.
At least I think I do, other than maybe being in the military, dodging bullets, dude.
Of course. I mean,
You know, when it comes to that, it's like, you know, being vulnerable, and just understanding that there's always going to be obstacles. Just face them, get better at handling them, because that's all that's happening. You're becoming sharper. You're able to pivot different directions. You're able to learn new skills that you never thought you could have, because nobody ever told you, hey, not only can you be good at this, but you could probably also be good at that too, and this too, and that too. Because if you look for that person to validate you, they might think back to their experience of when they didn't succeed at whatever it was that they did, and they chose to give up. So that feedback, when you look for validation in other people, is not going to be the feedback you want to hear, and that can discourage someone from actually following through with what they want to do. So I think understanding there's going to be problems everywhere. You know, just be good at freaking handling them, bro, and handle them like a G, and you'll be good to go, bro.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Bounce back, man.
Bounce
Just
back.
keep going. That's what resiliency is about, and I'm so grateful. That's the last question that I got for you.
Solid.
But I mean, I felt like I just got a jolt of energy, motivation, inspiration from hearing your story today, and I hope everybody else did. You know, and if the guys liked what you listened to, please like and subscribe. Leave any comments of how we can improve, or if you like the content, or if you like to see something else. But we're all about bringing value to other people and spreading these amazing stories of entrepreneurs, small business owners, just everyday people with real stories, real problems, just like yourself, but overcoming it and taking that pain and making it into a beautiful promise to help others and inspire others. So, Aaron, thank you so much. And is there
brother.
anything that you want to say to the people? Last remarks before we take off.
Just watch out. Watch out, baby.
Where can they find you, Aaron?
They can find me on Instagram. They can find me at Aaron Knockers, AARON, awesome. And then Knockers, KNOCKERS. Just follow me there, and then reach out to me if you have any questions about stuff. And other than that, just answer the door when I'm there, bro.
Because
I'm gonna knock on the damn door, dude. So answer that damn door, dude.
Thank you, brother.
All right, brother.
So
cool,
much.
man. Absolutely.
And guys, I'm gonna put his information below. Thank you guys for watching.